Welcome to the podcast Mining Matters, where you can dig a little deeper into developing your English speaking skills as a mining or minerals processing industry professional with me, Kirsten. Each month I will dive into one topical issue affecting the mining and the mineral processing industries. You can listen to a short discussion of the topic by me, and then I will explore some of the background of the vocabulary and the grammar that I chose to use. You can then develop your own discussion of the topic and use these examples to deepen your understanding and bring you closer to English fluency. Now you can choose to record yourself at home and keep the recordings as a record to observe your own improvement. Or you could join my speaking program, get some personal and private feedback from me, while joining in some lively and insightful conversations with other industry processing professionals. I promise you will see your skills transform in ways you never expected, while having fun. Now check out my website in the link for more information about the speaking program and to see if it is right for you. If it is not, I am glad you could join me anyway, and I hope you find the support and motivation you were looking for here. So the big question remaining now is where to from here? What will be the impact of the closure of the copper mine in Panama? What will be the expected impact on the copper market, particularly in light of the fact that it has recently been listed as a critical mineral in 2023 by many countries, including the US and Australia? What will the impact be for the economy of Panama? And what does the future look like for FQM in light of this closure? Let's take a closer look at each of these one at a time. Let's start with where to for copper. Until recently, the general expectation among forecasters was that copper would remain in a comfortable surplus for the next few years and then tighten sharply later in the decade as supply struggled to keep up with surging demand for the clean energy transition. But the news that Panama intends to shut down one of the world's biggest and newest copper mines threatens to disrupt that forecast. It's also important to note that this announcement comes at a particularly sensitive time in the market for copper concentrates. Copper concentrates are an intermediate product used to make refined metal, and the Chinese smelters are currently negotiating processing fees for the next year with key mining suppliers. In fact, Chilean miner Antofagasta and the smelter Jinwan Group agreed to copper concentrate supply contracts for 2024 that set processing charges 9% lower than this year. And that's a significant reduction. But based on the estimated annual production of as much as 375,000 tonnes this year, a prolonged or a permanent shutdown at Cobre would erode most of the predicted surplus in 2024. Now, the copper concentrate market has been tightening recently, in part due to a massive expansion of Chinese smelter capacity, which increases competition for the feedstock, and also partly because of concern about the future of FQM's Cobre Mine, even before the president announced the closure. So it'll be interesting to watch what happens with the copper market. And now where to for Panama? Well, the closure of the copper mine will have a significant impact on the exports and the economy of Panama. The copper production from Cobre Mine accounts for some 5% of the country's GDP. And the closure has been estimated to result directly in a 1 to 2% reduction to its growth forecast of 5%. That's the economic growth forecast in 2024. Now, at the same time, the Panamanian economy is also suffering from shipping traffic restrictions through the Panama Canal. And this is due to very low water levels resulting from the ongoing El Nino weather pattern. So coupling the closure of the Cobre mine and the reduction in the number of vessels being able to access the Panama Canal, the economic growth for 2024 is expected to be in the order of 1%. And this year, 2023, there was an impressive 6% growth experienced. And they were forecasting an earlier projection of 5% to 2024. That's now been reduced to 1%. Now, additionally, Panama recently enacted a law banning all new mining concessions and expansions. And this is expected to impact the country's political and financial ratings. Cortizo's administration has been reaching out to international rating agencies to assure them that Panama still has a sound legal framework that allows investors to do business with other attractive investment opportunities, but no specific examples were given. And now, where to for FQM? These kinds of decisions, while unusual, are not unprecedented. And unfortunately for FQM, it is also not the first challenging government shutdown that they have had to endure. In 2009, the government of the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, seized control of the Kolwezi project from FQM, citing mining code violations. And this was again a copper operation. Now, the government alleged corruption and mismanagement was to blame for the seizure, although critics argue it was primarily resource nationalism. That is, an attempt by the state to take greater ownership of its mineral wealth from foreign companies. That was in 2009, and in September 2010, FQM initiated a $2 billion legal claim, claiming inducement of breach of contract and interference with contractual relations and property rights. Now, in 2012, after a period of negotiations, a global settlement was reached, with FQM agreeing to a $1.25 billion settlement. Now, FQM has also submitted a notice of intent to initiate arbitration to enforce its rights to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry of Panama over the Cobre Mine shutdown. It's also interesting to note that federal elections will be held in Panama in May 2024, and there's actually some speculation that the mine could reopen under a new government if the company is able to renegotiate new terms. Time will tell on that front. In the interim, FQM has inked a deal with Zambia's Mimosa Resources to fast-track their joint development of the Fishtai copper project. This project is located in Zambia's central province, interesting, near the border with the DRC. Now, the companies have been exploring the asset since 2012, and the new plan is to aim for Fishtai commencing production in 2026 and ramping production up to 30,000 tonnes of copper a year by the end of the decade. And FQM has also committed to finance and conduct exploration within the wider licence area outside of Fishtai. Zambia has also unveiled plans to triple its copper output by the end of the decade, which aligns with FQM's strategy nicely. Undoubtedly, the closure of FQM's Cobre Mine in Panama will have significant impacts for the copper market, for the economy in Panama, and for FQM. Mine closures can have serious effects on the socio-economic aspects of a community, including a reduction in the quality of living, loss of employment and income, less opportunity for employment overall in the area, and a reduction in buying power of the locals. However, there have been significant protests and outcry from the community about the risks to the environment outweighing the financial impacts. The people of Panama have spoken. They don't want the mine, for whatever the reasons may be, and at the end of the day, it's their country and their land. And ultimately, it's the government's mandate to act on the wishes of the people.